Yes, Florian Wirtz. Now Ekitike is coming.
They have a goalkeeper backup in Bangladesh.
Exactly. Yeah. And then they are not done. We might just see a Rodrigo
team built up. So it is a very good signing. But if that can be translated onto the pitch as making Liverpool title contenders
on the shoulder of the last defender. So what we are potentially going to see happen to Liverpool this season is a table attack. An attack
who is a typical old-fashioned number 10, what you usually call a schemer. When he gets the ball, the first thing on his mind is he's looking at, not so interested in scoring. He wants to make you score. And so if you have some okay guys, so you're welcome to Sports 101. This is our special transfer edition, and I mean, we've been having lots of interesting transfer updates across the globe, but it looks like this season's transfer, especially this summer transfer, has become one of the hottest, especially in the English Premier League. Some clubs are signing. Manchester United are signing, Liverpool are signing, Aston Villa, even Sunderland is signing big. But one club that's making all the news this summer is Liverpool. They've already done Gyokeres, they've already done Wirtz, they've done Jeremy Frimpong, they've done, Mamastaveli, they've done a couple of players. The big one in terms of transfer fee right now that a lot of people are talking about is Hugo Ekitike, the French, born player who has just signed for 95 million euros. Sammy, I mean, this deal, Ekitike to Liverpool, he's done, he's set for his medicals in the course of this week. Good player, good move, transfer fee. There's a lot to talk about this player.
Well, first of all, I think we've all agreed on the fact that Liverpool need a proper number 9. You need somebody that's going to complement the effort of Mohamed Salah. But again, I will also say that Liverpool are messing up the transfer window.
How so?
Because when you hear the figures, surrounding some of these transfers, Florian Wirtz from the Bundesliga coming in for over 100 million,
111 million pounds.
You would probably agree if he was Premier League proven. There are lots of talk about Man United, spending money on Cunha, Mbeumo for those figures, but these guys have been tried and tested in the Premier League. They've had at least 2 very good seasons at Wolverhampton and Brentford. But this is a guy that is coming out of the Premier League, same as Ekitike, coming from the Bundesliga. So you can say that the risk levels are higher than a Premier League proven player. And so if you're looking at the figures that we are hearing, 95 million, over 100 million for these players, obviously you would agree when I say that Liverpool are messing up the transfer window, because the next team that would want to do business with the Premier League team, let's say Sporting Lisbon, let's say Man United are going in for a striker, these teams would want to inflate the figures because they know that the Premier League teams have a lot of money to splash. But if we're looking at the quality of the player in question, I think he's a good player. I think that he's had a good season at Frankfurt. But when you look at the figure that Omar Mamouche went for at the time, being their best player at the time, and you compare with now, that brings us again to the fact that Liverpool, I think, are overspending. But the player is a good player. I think he would add a lot of quality to this Liverpool side. Liverpool obviously need a proper striker. All the burden for scoring goals has been on Mohamed Salah. And so, yes, Ekitike coming in would add some bites to the Liverpool attack. Trust me, Liverpool have done some very solid business. If we look beyond some of these transfer fees and all of that, I think Liverpool have really strengthened in very good areas. You mentioned Frimpong, you mentioned Gyokeres coming in, there's Florian Wirtz. Now Ekitike is coming.
They have a goalkeeper backup in Bangladesh.
Exactly. And then they are not done. We might just see a Rodrigo somewhere later. So I think kudos to Liverpool. They are definitely title contenders going into next season. But as to whether the players they're signing would be hits. They have signed 3 players from the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
That's Frimpong together with Florian Wirtz and Ekitike. So these guys would need to hit the ground running for Liverpool to have a proper title defense.
I think that my issue is not necessarily with the transfer fee, Kofi. My issue has got to do with the player. I look at even the circumstance surrounding how he was signed. Liverpool had spoken to the camp of Isak. They had a go-ahead before they made the initial approach to Newcastle. Newcastle turned them down, saying that there was no way they were selling Alexander Isak. Then Newcastle were the ones pursuing, the Ekitike. But then all we heard was that now Liverpool are the ones, approaching the players' camp. And if you listen to the stories that have come out right now, it indicates that he spoke to Jurgen Klopp personally, and according to his manager, whatever Jurgen Klopp told him, he literally convinced him about the project that Liverpool are undertaking and whatever he plans to do with the player. That's the reason why, in a way, he turned his head around from moving to Newcastle. But is he a good player? I think that he's a good player, but he's just a budding talent from Rennes when he scored close to about, I think, 23 league goals for Rennes. PSG snapped him up for £17.5 million. He couldn't cut it at PSG because there was Lionel Messi, Kylian Mbappe, and other players at the time. When Luis Enrique came in, whatever he wanted to do, a young player couldn't fit in, so PSG had to sell him for 35. And for a young player who had not really tasted enough football to go for 35, that should tell you the ceiling or the profile people place on him. 12 months on, he's going for £95 million. That should tell you that he's one that people see as the next big thing, because his profile is a little bit like Thierry Henry. Very quick, very, very stylish. He's also skillful on the ball. You rarely see strikers like that these days. Some have even likened him to Alexander Isak, how he plays. Isak is very skillful. He's not your a typical type of striker. Hold up play. No, that Erling Haaland, Lewandowski, no. He's very good with the ball, at his feet, and also can play in almost all the 3 forward areas. You could play on the left, on the right, through the middle. So Liverpool are getting a player with a very high ceiling, huge potential. But again, as to whether the potential would evolve or give you, potentials can blossom to be great, potentials may fail. But again, I want to hold my cards to my chest as to whether this particular guy will succeed or not. Liverpool has one of the most stable environments for a player to grow. Look at the players they've signed prior to these players. So I'm trying to off my head, the Brighton player who plays who right now currently plays in the 10 row, his name has escaped me, that Argentine. Get me his name.
The one who plays as an 8,
yes, McAllister. They came into this Liverpool team and seemingly they fitted into the team. Szoboszlai likewise. And so for Liverpool, the environment is stable. Unlike other clubs, maybe like Manchester United, that has its own issues. Coming in, you might struggle a little bit. So I want to see what this player is able to give Liverpool. I think that he will walk into this team straight and start, because Darwin Núñez, the manager, has proven that he doesn't trust him. He doesn't trust Darwin Núñez to lead the lines this coming season. They've lost Diogo Jota, so they will need to actually replace. The reason why they brought in a striker, I know he will start, but as to whether he become a hit, he become successful, that I cannot tell. One thing I know he brings to this Liverpool team is that we're going to see a lot of movement, up front because of his style of play. We're going to see a lot of dynamism to Liverpool in terms of how the team shapes up and how the team builds up. So it is a very good signing, but if that can be translated onto the pitch as making Liverpool title contenders, that would be another issue altogether. But Kofi, I don't know if Liverpool have struck some gold or oil at Anfield, but they're signing left, right, center. The new guy, Ekitike.
Well, I think basically it can be agreed that Liverpool have been bullied on the transfer market. Yeah, it can be agreed that Liverpool have been bullied on the transfer market. You do not spend over 130 million euros for a player who relatively is unproven in terms of experience in Europe. I look at the whole Florian Wirtz thing, and I look at what it is that he brings to the Liverpool team. I mean, come on, this is a guy who has just had 2 very good seasons, probably 18 months, 18 good months of football. I mean, you are breaking transfer records for that kind of player.
He's a guy who was sought after by Real Madrid. So
now the fact that you are sought after by, I always cite this example that I do not think that the sort of impact that Jude Bellingham had in the Bundesliga is the same level of impact that somebody like Wirtz has had in the Bundesliga.
So?
Because I look at the influence of Jude Bellingham in that Dortmund team, and then I want to and then I look at the pedigree of Dortmund vis-a-vis just opposing it with the pedigree of Bayern Leverkusen. It's easy to play for Bayern Leverkusen. Yes, you can say all of the things you want to say about them, but the truth is that there are some clubs that you can operate at a maximum potential because, one, there is no real big history backing you in that regard or something to go against. You understand? So you are virtually having to write history. I mean, afresh. So that is the context I want to look at this whole issue from. And then you want to look at the fact that Liverpool then goes ahead to sign Ketike.
95 million euros.
Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, this is a player who barely 2 seasons ago was going below 16 million euros from PSG. Was not too much a starter at PSG. Probably came through the ranks at PSG, but I know Liverpool know what they want,
his numbers are good for a 22-year-old player. His numbers are solid.
That's the one thing that I think that a lot of people need to pay attention to, because I've never trusted figures from the Bundesliga. No, I have not, and I will not. I've never trusted figures. I saw Shinji Kagawa before his move to Manchester United. I've seen a lot of them. I see this team in particular, Frankfurt, have produced some strikers who we thought at Frankfurt were world beaters, have moved to other teams, and the world has never heard of them again. Jovic is one example. Since he's moved to Real Madrid from Frankfurt, I mean, having that stellar, I don't want to talk about Kolo Muani. I do not want to talk about. Frankfurt has a long history about those kind of transfers.
They produce, Sebastian. They produce Sebastian before he moved to Ajax.
So I just hope Liverpool know what they are doing, because like Sami said initially, it's an over proliferation of the transfer market. You do not do that. You want to sanitize the transfer window. You do not buy players like Ekitike for over 95 million euros. You do not simply do that. And Liverpool were looking for a striker. It's an open secret that they lack an Amanai. I mean, since the death of Jota, may his soul rest in peace, Liverpool have been looking for strikers, because it's clear that Darwin Núñez does not fit into the plans of the manager. It's clear that if they are not able to show up the goals coming from Mohamed Salah, occasionally you have some players chipping in the goals. So Boslai chips in the goals. You have Luis Diaz also chipping the goals. You have the other Dutch boy, Gakpo, bring in the goals. Liverpool needs to have somebody who is consistent enough to be banging 20 league goals a season, because you look at the sort of season that Liverpool have just had, and you want to think that if you look at the performances of what would have been their major pursuants, i.e. Arsenal, i.e. Manchester City, probably Chelsea to a large extent, you realize that these are teams that simply had a terrible season last season. And so you look at Liverpool and their run towards winning the EPL eventually, you realize that there was little or no resistance. the assumption now is that all of these teams are going to strengthen, and all of these teams are going to compete fiercely with Liverpool. And so you need to very much augment every other area of your team. And I think that Liverpool are probably doing the right thing, but I am not too sure about the personality.
But how does he fit in? Because Liverpool play to suit Mohamed Salah. Everything practically goes through Salah in this Liverpool side. Now they've brought in a recognized striker who is supposed to be that arrowhead. Now, does it mean that Slot would have to alter how he sets up his team? Because again,
I get the point you're making. I get the point you're making. Yeah.
Look at Salah as the poster boy at Liverpool. And so he gets the goals. He's the main man there. When there's always an attack, he's the one that the guys look up to. But with another big name player coming in, when I say big name, as a result of his transfer fee, does it alter the system that Slot would employ going into
I think it should. Ordinarily, it should alter the transfer. And there's this cliche that the best players find a way to play together. And I'm pretty sure that Salah is an elite player. Not too sure about the status of Ekitike on that in that category, I should say. But Salah is an elite player. You look at the other players who are at Liverpool. If Liverpool really wants to operate at that level where they can compete with some of the very best on the land and outside England, then it means that there has to be a level of understanding that dwells between all of the attacking three or whichever formation the coach decides to go with. I am thinking that there needs to be sacrifices. Salah needs to sacrifice. You know, if you watch the game plan of Salah, or if you watch how Salah plays, all throughout his days with Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino, you realize that Salah has always been that top alpha dog. I mean, so yes, occasionally he does make some assists, but he loves to score. If you are playing with an Amanai, i.e. Ekitike, what this boy's strength is that he constantly plays on the shoulder of the last defender. So what we are potentially going to see happen to Liverpool this season is a table attack. An attack always in motion. You understand? Because Ekitike likes to run. Salah, even though he's 33, likes to run. He's one of the quickest you can find anywhere in the world. You understand? And then if it's Diaz, whoever it is that plays on the other flank, they like to run. So I think that if Liverpool are going to function as a unit in the attacking third, players need to make sacrifices, and I see Salah making a lot of sacrifices.
And I mean, like I think that it's a brilliant question, because I always ask, at this stage of Salah's career, what does he want to prove again? Because everybody, over 8 seasons with Liverpool, everybody knows that consistently he's hit more than 30 plus league goals and assists together in the Premier League. He has nothing to prove to anybody here. So if I was Salah, I'll probably take the approach of some of the players you've seen. Maybe a typical example is Messi, where at some point you decided, let me just play for these guys. So right now you have a Florian Wirtz, who is a typical old-fashioned number 10, what you usually call a schemer. When he gets the ball, the first thing on his mind is he's looking out for that run. He's looking out for that guy. He's picking that pass like a Bruno Fernandes. He's not so interested in scoring. He wants to make you score. And so if you have someone like Ekitike, like I said, there'll be a lot of movement. And Kofi has corroborated a lot of movement in the front, because these guys want to move. They are always constantly on the run. So interestingly, Liverpool will be very, very interesting attacking wise, and I think they'll be very dangerous. From what I'm hearing from the camp of Bayern, and what we are hearing regarding the Luis Diaz deal, it looks certain that Luis Diaz was signed for Bayern, because Liverpool are now open to trying to negotiate or bend a little bit. So when he moves, that would mean that they will probably have to bring in somebody else. And if the name we are hearing is anything to go by, lot of movement in the Liverpool attack. But I would want Salah to sacrifice more. Now let me play for this. This is a young boy. You've done it all. Let me now, when I get the ball, let me also be the big man in there, orchestrating things together with Wirtz. Let's look for Ekitike or whoever is playing up front, Cody Gakpo. Let's make these guys superstars, because in a year or two, nobody will be talking about Salah. He leaves the team.
I'm looking at it from a different angle. This is the Mohamed Salah that was obviously devastated when Liverpool were eliminated from the Champions League.
Yeah.
Because we know that it dented his chances of winning the
Ballon d'Or.
So for a player that has achieved so much in terms of his goal scoring and all of that, individual trophies now become, something that he'll be looking at. These guys that you mentioned, Messi, for example, playing for the team, he's accomplished everything. Salah still has certain things to prove, i.e. winning individual trophies, which is, it doesn't get any bigger than the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
So it could be the other way around, where Mohamed Salah, 33, it probably has just 1 or 2 good seasons to prove that and then win something. Where, when I say it could be the other way around, it means that these guys coming into the team need to play for him to get the goals, to push the team into winning the Champions League and then improving his chances of winning the Ballon d'Or. So it could also be the other way around. Because when you say that he doesn't have anything to prove, I think that he's still looking at, there's a difference between being a good player and a great player.
Sure.
And when we talk about great players or legends of the game, then you're talking about players that have won the Ballon d'Or, the FIFA best and all of that. And that is something that I'm sure when Salah sleeps, he still has sleepless nights over something like that.
Well, I think that's quite an interesting perspective, and it will all boil down to the dynamics that the manager would want to deploy in the coming season. But speaking of good players, speaking of great players, speaking of great teams, speaking of teams that are supposedly supposed to be in good standing. I did not see the whole Rashford thing to Barcelona happening. But sadly, this is the new reality of Barcelona. They are having to feed on the crumbs of other elite teams.
There you go again.
Yes, they are having to feed on the crumbs of, Barcelona, we all know. I do not need to sound a broken record on this show. Barcelona, we all know, are very broke. They do not have money. They are struggling financially, and they cannot get the players. And couple of days ago, I read a certain report that even suggested that the whole Nico thing was a hoax. They knew it would never materialize, and they knew that all along they had to go for somebody like Rashford.
So why go through the stress? Was it
exactly. So it's a PR ploy. It's a whole PR. For the supporters.
Come on.
The sad thing is that the guy who was touted to be the savior of Barcelona, Laporta, he's been at Barcelona for 4 years.
Yeah.
Nobody even remembers that he's been there for that long. But sadly, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed.
In terms of their finances.
Exactly. Nothing has changed. All week in, week out, we talk about the fact that Barcelona they are about making the 1-in-1 in the Spanish La Liga, whatever. The prerequisite requirement, you need to be signing players and registering players. They are far from it.
But for all the challenges that Barca have been having financially, we are still seeing results on the pitch.
That's
not. I think that's the one thing that has been brilliant for Barcelona. I always tell people that the most brilliant thing that Barcelona did was to appoint Hansi Flick. I think that the signing of Hansi Flick has been absolutely majestic. I would want to imagine where Barcelona would be now without that particular signing, and so it's kept some level of sanity, not just away from the football field, but on the football field. You understand? The regular supporter is not too much worried about what it is that the club owes or what it is that the club is supposed to be bringing in terms of the finances. They are just worried. They are just worried about the level of football, the level of competition. And I think that's the one smart thing the Laporta administration has done. But the point is simple. In the past, you would not expect a Manchester United reject like Rashford to be the primary requirement of a Barcelona team. Yes, that's the point I'm trying to make.
People always try to make Rashford look like he was a reject at United. I think that's far-fetched. We know the issues surrounding Rashford's departure from Manchester United. His attitude, the coach feels that, listen, you cannot put up this attitude and I will still want you in the dressing room. The two of them, are literally polar opposites in terms of whatever they think is wrong or right. And so the coach feels that, no, you may be a toxic element in my dressing room, so I don't want you. It has nothing to do with the quality of the player. That's why for me, I think that if there's any silver lining out of this failure to bring in Nico Williams, it's Marcus Rashford, because one, for me, he's amongst all the options out there, he's the better option. He's a better option because he's seen football at the highest level playing in the Premier League. He's played with the best in the Premier League. Arguably, the Premier League is the best league in the world. He's seen it for God knows how long in terms of the years he spent playing in the Premier League. He comes to a Barcelona side. He's going to be coached by one of the best managers in the world, in Hansi Flick. He's going to be playing with players that arguably are some of the best players, collectively in the world. In Lamine Yamal, Robert Lewandowski, Rafinha, Frankie de Jong, Kubasi, name them. These are young players who are cutting their teeth out there against some of the best in the world. And so he's going into an environment where he would feel free to play. He would feel free to enjoy his football again. And we know on any given day, if Rashford decides, in quote, to play football in that left wing position, none comes close or better than him at his age or in his age category. He's very good in terms of his shot power. We saw him at Aston Villa when he went there on a season-long loan. He was very good in their run in the Champions League, even in the Premier League. I, up till now, do not know why Villa did not even take another option to have him on loan.
Maybe he feels like he needs.
But the player himself wants to play for Barcelona. So for me, again, I think that is a win-win situation for Rashford and Barcelona. Barcelona do not have to spend so much that it will hurt them financially. The player gets the opportunity to play consistent football.
You don't think that he
in
will
Europe?
Take that attitude into the Barcelona dressing room?
No, I don't think.
It's just like, you're after this nice lady. You know that she was a problem in a previous relationship. You know she was a toxic one.
Yeah.
And you feel that you can change her.
Like I always say, it's a 50-50 thing. It's just like bringing in a player. It's a 50. The player could come and be a hit. The player could come and be a flop. Whatever the situation was with United, I do not think that he's carrying that same problem. It's going to be that same problem at Barcelona. No, the coach himself spoke to Rashford on the phone, wanted the player. That's the reason why Barcelona had to make for that move. And so for me, I think that is a good deal for both players. Like we've all agreed, we're going into a World Cup year. He wants to play consistent football. He wants to prove to Thomas Tuchel that, listen, I can be part of your team in the Camp 2026 in US, Mexico, and Canada. I want to make the first team, and he would have to prove himself at Barcelona. At least the Hansi Flick will not budge to the whims or caprices of any player. If you are fit, if you are worthy to command that first team position, why not? He will put him there. But I don't think that he's walking into that team and he's unseating a player like Rafinha after that stellar season. He's unseating anybody like, Ferran Torres putting in 20 plus, goals in the La Liga. He's unseating a player like Lamine Yamal. He would have to work his way. And I saw his first training with the club. Yesterday, he wants to play. He wants to prove a point. So let's see what happens. I don't know what you make of this.
I think there's a win-win for all parties. I think United, Barcelona, Rashford himself. But the biggest winner here is Rashford.
Yeah.
I mentioned to you the other time that there's a school of thought that feel that Rashford doesn't deserve the move to Barcelona. To an extent, I agree. Because you don't get to suck at a big club like Man United, where you grew up there, you have an opportunity to be a legend at the club, and things just don't go right. There are lots of players that arguably are better than Rashford, but have not had that opportunity to make that step to another big club like Barcelona after all whatever challenges that they were going through. So it's a win for him, especially, as you mentioned, it's a World Cup year. So every player will be looking to give their best and then make it into the national team for the World Cup, Rashford would not walk into that Barcelona side and then just unseat any player among the front four.
That's true.
I think that he needs to work his way, through and then earn that spot. Barca already are playing in a certain way, and so if he goes into that Barcelona, dressing room, he will need to prove that he can actually cut it there. Rafinha playing from the left, Lamine Yamal from the right, Lewandowski through the middle. Rashford is a dynamic player. He can play different positions. He can play out wide. He can play through the middle. So that's where I feel that he has an advantage because he's not a one-sided player. So he could deputize for Lewandowski. Lewandowski is actually grown. If he picks up a run of form, then obviously he will be starting. Rafinha could move infield into that number 10 role, which I think that he would do well there. And then Rashford could play out wide from the left. So it's a win-win situation for everybody. And I don't think that there's any better club for Rashford to kickstart his career again, especially playing around a lot of players that are very, very well talented, like the likes of Pedri and then Frankie de Jong. You have these guys playing behind you, Balde on the left-hand side, where he might actually play. I think that he has an opportunity to kickstart his career. If he doesn't cut it at Barcelona, then he doesn't have anyone to play.
It's over, Kofi. If he doesn't cut at Barcelona, it's over for him.
Well, I even think that quality for quality, I think that Rashford is a better player than Rafinha. He is absolutely a better player than Rafinha. No. I'm serious.
On pure
footballing abilities.
I think
Rashford is a better player than Rafinha.
At least the Rashford we saw coming through the ranks at Manchester United.
Listen, go back and watch that Rashford under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Even Rashford and
the front three, that front three,
he scored 20 plus.
That front three where they had Greenwood, Rashford, and then there was a third person.
There was Cristiano Ronaldo at the time. Oh no, Ronaldo hadn't come at the time. Cavani.
It wasn't Cavani. There was a third person. I'm struggling to get the other third person.
A striker.
Yes, it was a striker.
Disagree with you.
But I think that's Rashford was super that particular season. That front three of United had the most goals in terms of a trial in that particular season in Europe. I struggle to remember who the other third person was.
But you think that he'd be a good fit for Barcelona?
No, I think that it's a win-win. I mean, even though you can banter with Barcelona fans that listen, we are giving you lesser quality food in that regard, but you can tell from pure football reasons that he should be a hit for Barcelona if he applies himself. Yes.
But one story that is actually making the rounds, and when it came, it was more like a rumor, but it's actually gaining grounds, is Rodrigo and his situation at Real Madrid. And then there's one club that is keeps ringing in our ears that he.
I think the player we were looking for was Anthony Martial.
Anthony Martial, yes. It's Liverpool. Rodrigo to Liverpool.
Whatever goal they struck, hallelujah.
About Luis Diaz likely leaving and moving to Bayern Munich. What does Rodrigo bring to this Liverpool side if that deal happens?
Well, I was telling you yesterday that if Liverpool sign Rodrigo, the people who are in charge of doping should quickly conduct a doping test on the club.
Why?
Because I think that they probably will be dealing with a lot of financial engineering. Yes, we all agree that Liverpool have been run very well in the last 3, 4, 5 years. Is the reason why they have all of these monies in excess to run the club the way they are running it. Especially, you look at how swiftly they have moved to their targets in this off-season and how quickly they are not having to dilly-dally on who it is that they want. It looks like they have a clear plan. They have the money to spend for that plan. And it'll be quite interesting if you put in the dynamic of Rodrigo to this Liverpool team. You know my opinions on Rodrigo. I think that in terms of ability to perform at the highest level, ability to perform when the pressure cooker is highest, I think that he's even a better player in that regard than Mohamed Salah. And the evidence out there speaks
on the highest
of levels, on the highest of
footballing
levels.
quality.
No, on the highest of levels. I mean, pressure cooker, where the stakes are highest. This is a guy I will take to the party. This is a guy I will gladly ride to war with. You understand? And so I think that if you take away that whole Diaz to Bayern rumor, and then if it actually materializes, and then it would mean that Liverpool have extra cash to burn. There is the notion that Real Madrid are not going to take anything less than 90 million euros for Rodrigo. And I'm pretty sure that Real Madrid are looking at what it is happening on the transfer market right now. If you're buying Vitz for over 130 million euros, if you're buying a Ketike for over 95 million euros, obviously they will sit down, look at Rodrigo, look at his pedigree, look at all that he's done for Real Madrid, which is arguably the biggest sporting platform or the biggest soccer platform in the world. They would sit down, evaluate, put a price tag on the guy, and if Liverpool wants to have him, I can confidently tell you that they would have to pay more than they did for a Ketike.
Sammy, I hold this notion, and I think that I've shared with you guys. For me, think that Rodrigo is one of the most overrated players in the world. Is he a good player? Yes, he's very good. I mean, he's a good player that you can, but I think that he's overrated. What, aside Rodrigo giving us Rodrigo moments in Champions Leagues, what else on top of your head?
He doesn't have a better CV and a better pedigree.
He has a better CV because he plays for Real Madrid. I keep saying
not just a screw on the bus.
He's a screw on the bus.
He's not a screw on the bus.
And Sammy, I would always say Rodrigo is a screw on the bus because he is not a starter at Real Madrid. Real Madrid have had 3 top managers in the time Rodrigo has been there. None of these managers has seen anything in him that Rodrigo, you can command the first team's bet at Real Madrid. Under Zidane, he wasn't a starter. He didn't even get a starting bet. He had minutes off the bench. Yes, he gave us moments against Manchester City. Yeah. Against Manchester City, he will give you those moments in the Champions League, both at the Etihad and also at the Bernabeu. Against Ancelotti, he couldn't command a starting bet. Even now, we are hearing, and I don't want to speak to conjectures, but the rumors out there is that Xavi Alonso is saying that he would even prefer Franco Montano ahead of Rodrigo. The reason why, because I do not think that Real Madrid will even conceive the thought of letting go of Rodrigo, if the manager is saying that this guy is so much in my plans. Listen, Rodrigo is overrated. I am not discounting his
quality. Does he start
quality
in this Liverpool side?
If there's nobody there, he starts. But if he comes to
looking at the pedigree of players at Liverpool, does he walk into that 11 and start?
He cannot unseat Luis Diaz in my
come on.
In this Liverpool team, Rodrigo does not unseat Luis Diaz. In this Liverpool team, Rodrigo does not unseat Luis Diaz. Unless Luis Diaz is not there, then obviously we start ahead of Cody Gakpo. But if Luis Diaz in this team, Rodrigo does not unseat
even if there's Diaz.
Yeah.
Rodrigo is a better player.
I think Rodrigo brings something to this Liverpool side that they don't have. I think he comes in with a lot of experience on the biggest of stages, in as much as he's still a very young player.
That you don't take it away from him.
And so his footballing ability, and he's very versatile as well. Except you haven't watched the gentleman play.
I have.
Then you would actually, discredit his ability and say that he will not start in this Liverpool side.
You know what?
I think that if Rodrigo
reminds me of.
I think if Rodrigo walks into this Liverpool team, if that transfer actually happens, Liverpool are winning the league again.
Pedro, he reminds me of Pedro. Good player, but he's playing with a team or with a set of players that would make him look great. Pedro, good player, all right, but isolate Pedro and he's just an ordinary player. Pedro scored in the Champions League final against Manchester United at Wembley. You saw Pedro.
Don't remind me.
You've seen Pedro at Barcelona. Good player, but isolate Pedro and he's just one of those ordinary players. That's how Rodrigo is. Good player, put him in that Real Madrid team with a set of players, all of a sudden he becomes great. Again, I'm not discounting his quality as a player, but I think that he's overrated. He only reminds me of Pedro.
If you wanted to extend that theory, who in that Barcelona team probably saved Messi would have been quality enough to start anywhere else?
Which Barcelona team?
That Barcelona team that Pedro belonged to.
Come on. David Villa will start any day, any time. David Villa will start.
The system made them look better.
Villa will start any day, any time. David Villa we are talking about.
I think David Villa
will start.
Was a top.
David Villa in his prime will start any time, any day.
Granted. David Villa.
Because it was the front three was Messi, David Villa, and Pedro.
And Pedro Rodriguez.
Yes. That was the front three. 2011 Barcelona front three.
All of those players in that Barcelona team, they were a system-based set of players. They were system-based. So I do not know why you would want to. I don't know why you would want to. You would want to take out just Rodriguez.
And you can only pick moments.
Pedro?
Like Pedro will give you moments. I can recollect countless moments Pedro gave.
Football is about moments.
Yes, that's how Rodrigo is.
Biggest players live for the biggest moment.
He will give you moments, but as a player, that's what I'm saying. I hope and I'm praying that Liverpool sign him. We will see the true colors.
I'm sure a lot of the Madrid fans.
Yeah, we'll see the true colors of Rodrigo.
I'm sure a lot of the Madrid fans disagree.
Anyway, so that's the conversation right here on Sports 101. What do you make of Rodrigo? Do you think that he's overrated or he's not overrated? My guys disagree with me. And on the Ketike bit, I mean, Liverpool, Samir Kofi believe that Liverpool are messing up the market. Also, Kofi believe that Rashford is more or less like a Manchester United reject here. This is Sport 101, our transfer edition. And make sure you follow the channel Sport 101 on YouTube, Sport 10ONE on Facebook, Sport 101 on Twitter, and all the social media platform. In the comment section, keep the comments going, the conversation going on the channel.
Another transfer story that excuse me, that we've heard in recent days that has also been trending, a story that has supposed to be concluded as the Gyokeres story. That transfer has dilly-dallied for quite some time, and Victor Gyokeres to Arsenal is something that we expect that should have been concluded by now. What exactly is going on? We know that transfer fees have been agreed, issue of add-ons, whatever it is. The player has stated that he wants to move to Arsenal. What is holding this deal back?
Well, my guys are telling me that they are debating on who pays the Momo charges. So they are debating on who pays. But to a more serious note, I think that this circumstance typifies why Arsenal are not a serious club, in my candid opinion.
Is that not too harsh?
That is not too harsh. I mean, I think that Sports 101 should speak to the issues as they are. And Arsenal are not serious because you look at the failings of Arsenal over the last 4-5 years since Arteta has been manager. You realize that they've had an excellent squad from defense. In the last 2 seasons, 3 seasons, Arsenal has had their best defense 2 of the last 3 seasons. So defensively, they are sound. In midfield, they have some of the greatest players of this generation. The one area of that Arsenal team that even lay people in football have ascribed to has to be the striking department. Listen, you look at the monies that Arsenal have spent on the transfer window this time. Madueke signing that defender from Valencia. They brought in Zubimendi. They brought in the ex-Brentford captain.
Nogard. Yeah, in January also they brought in this guy from Real Sociedad.
Yes, all of those guys have come in.
Mikel Moreno.
All of those guys have come in. I was thinking that the first deal you make a priority, get it over the line, has to be signing a top-notch number 9. If you look at Arsenal and their failings, it's almost been an established blueprint. They compete very well for 32 matches, last 6 games, they capitulate.
Okay.
They compete very well for 28 games. Last 10 games, they self-capitulate. So why do you not want to get over the line with Gyokeres? Then you can, as it were, move to the other transfers, because for all of the other places they are attempting to solidify, those are not priority signings in my candid
They've
opinion.
actually signed Kepa as well.
Exactly. I mean, so those are not priority signings. Now we are hearing that there's an issue with the add-ons. You understand? Why can't you just be grown adults, both themselves and Sporting Lisbon, come to a firm conclusion over the issues, sort this transfer out quickly, everybody goes home happy?
But this is business. You don't just accept whatever the other parties.
No, so
bring.
it
You need to do
clearly clearly shows that Arsenal are not wanting to get over this deal, wanting to get this deal over the line.
You think so?
I don't get it.
Oh, I don't think so. I think Arsenal wants the player. They wouldn't have gone this far if they don't want the player.
Yeah.
But you don't just throw in the towel or just accept whatever the selling party is dictating to you. We talked about Liverpool and how they've been spending money. You said they've been bullied in the transfer window. Arsenal don't want to be bullied.
That's true.
So if there are different dynamics here, and Sporting is probably saying that the add-ons should come if he plays over 40 games for Arsenal, and Arsenal is looking at whether the add-ons should come when he wins a trophy, say the Premier League or the Champions League. And maybe Sporting feel that Arsenal is not that club that you can bank on them.
Guarantee that.
Yes, can guarantee that.
Yeah.
So they are actually risking that amount of money. And so these are some of the dynamics, and it's business. I think that Arsenal are trying to be smart, Sporting are trying to be smart, but Arsenal actually need the player. And I won't be surprised if the players camp, or even from Arsenal themselves, or even Sporting, is using that United story as a smokescreen to generate some confusion, to either make Arsenal succumb to whatever they are demanding so that the deal gets closed. These things happen in football, but I think that if he signs for Arsenal, it will be a brilliant signing for Arsenal. We might sit here and feel that, maybe 2-point-something million euros or 4 million euros or 5 million euros, if you've been able to raise 65, it's no big deal for add-ons and all of that. But that's how football is. It makes us think that these amount of monies are little amount of money.
But
it's a big deal.
Yeah, where I agree with Kofi is I think that, like Kofi has said, and I think we all agree, the priority area for Arsenal, we know, is that they need a number 9.
Yeah.
They need that striker, that go-to man in that team. And we've said that if last season they had a proper proven number 9, even to give them 18 league goals, Arsenal probably might have won the title. And so you go into negotiating with a club, and the club gives you their conditions. There are different ways of agreeing to pay. Manchester United are very good at that, paying in installments. You could easily agree, okay, whether 10 million add-ons, we'll pay in 3 installments, we'll pay in 5 installments, we'll pay in 6 installments. Find a way to make the deal happen, because you need a striker.
Especially when he's actually risked his relationship
with the club, and has been turned down. Reports indicate that he's turned down other clubs just because he wants to play for Arsenal. Find it. I mean, a very simple. You could decide, like I said, installment. Okay, we'll pay in 3 installments. Real Madrid are also good at that. We'll pay in 5 installments. Whatever it is, get the player, get him to start training with the club before you start your preseason. Get him to, because right now psychologically he has a lot of issues. Get him to settle now, so that when the season starts, there will not be so much pressure on him to deliver. I think that, listen, in some way I agree with Kofi. Arsenal really are not being serious enough to get this deal done, guys.
Do you think the deal will be done eventually?
It'll be done, boom.
What does it mean for Arsenal if they don't get this deal done?
Oh, then they will not win it. They will not win the league.
Even if they get the deal done, are they winning the league?
City is bringing Halal. They are bringing, literally in a way, they are Mamouche, and Liverpool is practically bringing Ekitike, if Rodrigo, or even that. Liverpool still looks Liverpool. United have signed 2 of the best attacking players in the Premier League in Cunha. He's smiling. He's smiling. In Cunha and in Mbeumo.
Yeah.
So Arsenal will be
And
joking.
United is still looking to bring in number 9.
And if Arsenal is not thinking about closing this deal, they're joking about the league title.
All right, guys. It's Sports 101, and this is our transfer edition. As we stated earlier on, we brought you different stories that have been trending so far in the transfer window. As Lucky said earlier on, we've talked about Ekitike, we've talked about Rodrigo, we've talked about Gyokeres, we've talked about Marcus Rashford. As the days go by, as the transfer window heats up, we'll be bringing you updates on whatever is going on in the transfer window. Sports 101, like, subscribe, share, comment. Let's know your opinion on what you think about the happenings in the transfer window, and then follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, wherever it is. Twitter, you can find us there, Sports 101, and then you get all the updates. We're bringing you other discussions in terms of the world of sports.